Welcome back to Lumen Lecture, where we explore the power of books and ideas. This is the second part of our journey through James Clear's Atomic Habits. In our last video, we dove deep into the power of small habits, identity-based change, and how to create an environment that supports better habits. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, be sure to check that out first. Now, we're moving forward, covering chapters 11 to 20, where things really get exciting. We'll explore the power of making continuous improvements, how habits can lead to mastery, and the unexpected strategies to make good habits stick and break bad ones for good. And if you're enjoying the content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Lumen Lecture for more insightful summaries. Let's pick up right where we left off and start with Chapter 11 of Atomic Habits. Chapter 11. Walk slowly, but never backward. Let's face it, starting something new can feel daunting. Whether it's committing to a new workout routine or setting aside time for reading, the pressure of a full commitment often leads to procrastination. This is where the 2-minute rule comes into play. Clear emphasizes that the goal is not to perform at peak intensity right away, but to establish a habit that can grow over time. Once you've mastered the small action, you can gradually increase the effort. This method helps build consistency without the overwhelm. Example: James Clear suggests that any new habit should take less than 2 minutes to complete. The idea is simple: make it easy to start. For instance, if your goal is to get fit, don't think about hitting the gym for an hour. Instead, start by just putting on your workout clothes. This action takes less than 2 minutes, and once you're dressed, you're much more likely to continue on to a workout. Key takeaway: the core lesson from Chapter 11 is that starting small is essential for making lasting changes. The hardest part of any new habit is simply taking that first step. The 2-minute rule makes it almost effortless to get started, allowing you to build momentum. So, remember the 2-minute rule as you work on building better habits. It encourages you to focus on the process rather than the outcome, leading to more significant changes over time. By integrating small actions into your daily routine, you'll find that consistency becomes second nature. Chapter 12, Goldilocks Rule, a powerful principle for keeping habits exciting and sustainable. The Goldilocks Rule is based on the idea that we perform best when tasks are just at the edge of our abilities, not too easy and not too hard, but just right. Think about a puzzle. If it's too simple, you'll get bored and lose interest. If it's too complex, you'll feel frustrated and give up. But if it's just challenging enough, you'll stay engaged, determined to finish. According to Clear, this sweet spot of challenge helps us stay motivated over the long term. When a task is just outside of our reach, it keeps us engaged because we want to push ourselves to improve. It's the feeling of growth that makes a habit exciting, and it helps us avoid the trap of complacency or burnout. Example: for instance, learning a new language. If the lessons are too basic, you'll get bored quickly. If they're too advanced, you'll feel overwhelmed and may stop trying. But if they match your current level of knowledge, just pushing you a bit beyond your comfort zone, you'll stay motivated and make steady progress. The Goldilocks Rule teaches us that the key to staying motivated with any habit is to find that perfect balance of difficulty. Whether it's learning a new skill, exercising, or working on a creative project, aim for a challenge that pushes you slightly beyond what you're currently capable of. That's where the magic happens. The key takeaway from Chapter 12 is clear. Motivation isn't about constantly pushing yourself to the max, nor is it about staying in your comfort zone. It's about finding the right amount of challenge. When your habits are just right, they'll keep you engaged, growing, and eager to continue. So next time you're struggling to stay motivated with a habit, ask yourself, is it too easy? Is it too hard? Or is it just right? With the Goldilocks Rule, you'll find that sweet spot that keeps you moving forward. Chapter 13, How to Stop Procrastinating by Using the 2-minute Rule. We've all been there. Facing a task that seems overwhelming, whether it's starting a workout, reading a book, or even writing an email. It feels like a mountain we just can't climb, so we put it off. In Chapter 13, Clear introduces a technique that makes starting a habit incredibly easy. The 2-minute rule. The 2-minute rule is simple. Any habit you want to start should take less than 2 minutes. The goal here isn't to finish the entire task, but to get started. James Clear argues that the hardest part of any new habit is getting started. Once you begin, the momentum naturally builds, making it easier to continue. Example: for instance, if you want to become a reader, don't set a goal to read an entire chapter. Instead, set the goal to read just one page. If you want to start running, don't aim for a 5K on day one. Simply put on your running shoes and walk out the door for 2 minutes. The beauty of the 2-minute rule is that it tricks your brain. When you lower the bar and make the habit so small that it seems effortless, you remove the resistance. Once the task is in motion, you often find that it's easier to continue for longer than 2 minutes. It's like a snowball effect. Small actions build momentum. The lesson from Chapter 13 is clear. Don't focus on the end goal right away. Instead, master the art of showing up. By making the habit so easy that it takes less than 2 minutes, you're training your brain to overcome procrastination and develop the consistency needed for long-term change. Whether you're trying to write more, meditate, exercise, or clean the house, applying the 2-minute rule can transform how you approach habits. The key is to make starting as easy as possible. The more frequently you start, the easier it will become to build that habit. Chapter 14. How to make good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible. In Chapter 14, James Clear explains how our habits are not just a product of our willpower, but of our environment. Often, the easiest way to make a good habit stick is to design your environment so that doing the right thing becomes the path of least resistance. One of the most powerful strategies in this chapter is called environment design. This means creating an environment where good habits are easy and bad habits are hard. For example, if you want to work out in the morning, set out your gym clothes the night before. If you want to read more, leave a book on your pillow, so it's the last thing you see before bed. Example: on the flip side, if you want to break a bad habit, you need to make it as difficult as possible to engage in. Let's say you're trying to reduce your screen time. You could leave your phone in another room when you go to bed or set app blockers to limit distractions throughout the day. By making bad habits harder to access, you naturally start avoiding them. Clear explains that the more friction there is between you and a bad habit, the less likely you are to engage in it. For instance, if you're trying to eat healthier, you might store unhealthy snacks out of sight or not buy them at all. Meanwhile, keeping fruits and veggies at eye level makes it easier to choose a healthier option. The lesson from Chapter 14 is this: your environment shapes your behavior. If you want to make good habits inevitable, you need to make them easy and convenient. If you want to break bad habits, you need to introduce friction and make them as inconvenient as possible. So, if you're trying to build a new habit, ask yourself, how can I design my environment to support it? Can I lay out cues that remind me of my goals, or make the things I need readily accessible? And for the habits you want to break, what barriers can you create to make them less convenient? Chapter 15 in Atomic Habits by James Clear is the cardinal rule of behavior change. In Chapter 15, James Clear introduces us to the concept of the cardinal rule of behavior change. This rule states that behaviors that are immediately rewarded are repeated, while those that are immediately punished are avoided. It's a fundamental principle of human behavior that can be applied to habit formation. Think about it. When you complete a workout, you might treat yourself to a delicious smoothie or take a moment to bask in that post-exercise glow. That immediate reward reinforces the habit of exercising. On the other hand, if you associate negative feelings with a behavior, like feeling guilty after a binge-watching session, you're less likely to repeat it. Example: for instance, let's say you're trying to build a habit of reading more. To make it rewarding, you could set up a cozy reading nook with your favorite snacks. After you read for a certain amount of time, allow yourself to enjoy a small treat. This positive reinforcement makes you look forward to reading, and over time it becomes a habit. Clear emphasizes that tracking your habits is a powerful way to create immediate rewards. When you mark off a day on your habit tracker or celebrate a small win, you're giving yourself a sense of accomplishment. This satisfaction can motivate you to keep going, reinforcing the habit further. key takeaway from Chapter 15 is, if you want to make a habit stick, attach an immediate reward to it. Find ways to celebrate small victories and create positive associations with the behavior you want to adopt. Conversely, recognize that if you want to break a bad habit, you should create immediate consequences to discourage it. So, as you think about your own habits, consider, how can you introduce immediate rewards for good behaviors? Can you track your progress in a way that brings you joy? And for the habits you want to eliminate, what immediate consequences can you set up to discourage those behaviors? Chapter 16, The Importance of Identity. In Chapter 16, Clear emphasizes the concept of identity-based habits. Instead of concentrating solely on the outcome you desire, like losing weight or reading a certain number of books, shift your focus to the type of person you want to be. This small change in mindset can lead to profound shifts in behavior. For example, rather than saying, "I want to run a marathon," reframe it to, "I am a runner." By adopting this identity, your actions begin to align with that self-image. You're more likely to prioritize running, training regularly, and ultimately achieving your goal. Clear also points out that our identities are influenced by the groups we belong to. When you associate yourself with a community of like-minded individuals, it reinforces your desired identity. This can create a powerful sense of belonging and motivation to stick to your habits. Example, let's say you want to develop a reading habit. Instead of telling yourself, "I want to read more," start saying, "I am a reader." This shift encourages you to seek out books, join reading groups, or engage in conversations about literature. Your new identity motivates you to take action consistently. Clear also points out that our identities are influenced by the groups we belong to. When you associate yourself with a community of like-minded individuals, it reinforces your desired identity. This can create a powerful sense of belonging and motivation to stick to your habits. The key takeaway from Chapter 16 is to create lasting change. Focus on the identity you want to embody. When you align your habits with your self-image, they become more meaningful and easier to maintain. Ask yourself, who do you want to become? What habits does that person have? Start acting like that person today. So, as you work on building new habits, remember to embrace your desired identity. Surround yourself with people who support your growth and reflect the habits you aspire to adopt. The more you embody that identity, the more your habits will naturally fall into place. Chapter 17, The Power of Environment. In Chapter 17, Clear emphasizes that our environment serves as a powerful cue for our habits. The way we design our surroundings can either facilitate good habits or hinder them. For instance, if you want to eat healthier, keeping junk food in plain sight makes it easy to indulge, while placing fruits and vegetables in a visible area encourages healthier choices. Clear explains that we often underestimate the impact of our environment on our actions. When we change our surroundings, we can effectively change our behavior. This is why it's important to create an environment that supports the habits we want to develop. For example, if you want to read more, make it easier by placing a book on your pillow or next to your coffee maker. When you see it regularly, it becomes a natural cue to read. Conversely, if you want to reduce screen time, keep your phone in another room while you work or study. Clear also emphasizes that our environment doesn't just affect our habits, it shapes our identity as well. When we design spaces that reflect our desired habits, like a cozy reading corner or a well-organized workout area, we signal to ourselves that we're serious about those changes. The key takeaway from Chapter 17 is that environment is a crucial factor in habit formation. By consciously designing our spaces, we can make good habits easier and bad habits harder. Ask yourself, how can you rearrange your environment to better support your goals? Remember, it's not just about willpower, it's about the choices your environment offers you. Create spaces that naturally encourage the behaviors you want to adopt. The more you can make good habits obvious and accessible, the more likely you are to stick with them. Chapter 18, The Law of Least Effort. In this chapter, Clear introduces the concept of the law of least effort, which states that we naturally gravitate towards the option that requires the least amount of work. If a habit is easy to do, we're more likely to stick with it. Conversely, if it's hard, we'll often find excuses to avoid it. Clear emphasizes that we can apply this principle to various aspects of our lives. If you want to eat healthier, prepare your meals in advance. By doing the prep work, when you have time, you eliminate the decision-making and effort needed when hunger strikes. When it's time to eat, you simply have to heat up a meal instead of cooking from scratch. Another strategy Clear suggests is to automate your good habits. Use technology to your advantage. Set reminders, use habit tracking apps, or even schedule your workouts on your calendar. Automation reduces the mental effort required to remember and follow through on your intentions. Example: if you want to start exercising regularly, consider reducing friction. Instead of telling yourself to hit the gym after a long day, lay out your workout clothes the night before. This small action makes it easier to follow through. You've already removed the initial hurdle, making it simple to just get started. The key takeaway from Chapter 18 is simple. Make good habits easy and bad habits hard. By lowering the friction associated with the behaviors you want to adopt, you make it more likely to incorporate them into your daily routine. Reflect on your current habits. Where can you reduce friction to make the desired behavior easier? Remember, it's not just about willpower, it's about creating an environment that supports your desired behaviors. The less effort required, the more likely you are to follow through. Let the law of least effort guide you in your journey toward positive change. Chapter 19, Reflection and Review. Clear begins by emphasizing that reflection is a critical component of habit formation. It's easy to get caught up in the daily grind and forget to assess our progress. However, taking the time to review our actions and results allows us to learn from our experiences and make necessary adjustments. Clear suggests incorporating a weekly review into your routine. This doesn't have to be a lengthy process. Even 10 to 15 minutes can make a significant difference. Use this time to look back on your week, evaluate your progress, and set intentions for the upcoming days. Imagine you've been trying to read more books. At the end of each month, set aside time to reflect on your reading habits. Ask yourself, how many books did I read? What did I enjoy? Were there times I felt distracted? This reflective practice can help you identify what works and what doesn't, guiding your future choices. During your review, consider what habits have been working well and which ones need tweaking. Adjust your goals based on your experiences and create actionable steps for improvement. This practice not only keeps you accountable, but also helps maintain your motivation. The key takeaway from Chapter 19 is clear. Reflection and review are essential for continuous growth. Regularly assess your habits and progress to ensure you're on track toward your goals. Remember, the more you reflect, the more you can learn about yourself and your behaviors. By making reflection a regular part of your life, you create a feedback loop that fosters improvement. Celebrate your successes, no matter how small, and use any setbacks as learning opportunities. This mindset shift will help you cultivate resilience and adaptability. Chapter 20, The Power of Tiny Changes. One of the key insights from this chapter is that habits can sometimes become a double-edged sword. Once we form a habit, we tend to operate on autopilot, which is great for consistency, but can lead to stagnation. We stop thinking about ways to improve and instead just go through the motions. For example, imagine you've developed a strong workout routine. You hit the gym every day, but after a while, you stop pushing yourself to improve. You're doing the same exercises, lifting the same weights, and wondering why you're no longer seeing results. This is what Clear calls the plateau of latent potential, where habits can lead to complacency. The solution? James Clear encourages us to review and refine our habits regularly. Just because something works doesn't mean it can't be improved. Challenge yourself to step out of autopilot mode and look for ways to elevate your habits. This could mean increasing the difficulty of your workouts, learning new skills, or simply finding new inspiration for the habits you've already built. Another potential downside of habits is over-attachment. When we become too rigid in our routines, we risk losing flexibility. Life is unpredictable, and there will be times when sticking to a strict habit isn't possible. Clear reminds us that it's important to be adaptable and to not let habits define our identity completely. Example, for instance, if you pride yourself on being a daily runner, what happens when an injury forces you to take a break? Do you feel lost or frustrated? Habits are powerful, but they shouldn't control us. The goal is to use habits as tools for growth, not to let them limit our options or ability to adapt. The final lesson from Chapter 20 is this: balance is key. While habits help us automate our behaviors and achieve great things, we must remain open to change. Don't let your habits become constraints. Instead, embrace the idea of continuous improvement. Always looking for ways to refine your routines and stay flexible in the face of life's changes. And there you have it, a journey through James Clear's Atomic Habits. We've explored how small, consistent changes can lead to significant transformations, how our identity plays a crucial role in our habits, and why designing our environment is just as important as having willpower. This book is packed with actionable insights that can be applied to almost any area of life, whether it's fitness, productivity, relationships, or personal growth. So, should you read Atomic Habits? Absolutely. If you're someone who struggles with building and maintaining habits, this book offers a practical, step-by-step approach to creating lasting change. James Clear doesn't just give theory. He provides real-life examples, simple strategies, and science-backed techniques to make your goals achievable. But more than that, Atomic Habits reminds us that real progress comes not from massive leaps, but from small, intentional steps. It's a reminder that you don't need to overhaul your life overnight to see meaningful change. Start with just one habit, one small action, and let the compounding effect of your efforts take you toward your goals. So, if you're looking for a clear, effective guide to self-improvement that's rooted in both science and simplicity, Atomic Habits is definitely worth your time. It's not just a book about habits. It's a roadmap to becoming the person you've always wanted to be. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Atomic Habits. If you found value in this series, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Lumen Lecture for more insightful book summaries and personal growth tips. Until next time, remember, small habits can lead to big results.